today we want to inspire you. And a very interesting topic we've chosen today is moving from turning failure into opportunities. As always on Inspiration Monday, we have Welly Odendo with us. Karibu sana, thank you for coming through.
Asante
as
sana.
Always. So first of all, I guess we would start as we always do with because like they say, every time they add this word relative thing. So failure is relative. So what would be failure in your books?
I think failure is your inability to get yourself back to either to pursuing a goal or a relationship. Is getting to a place where you have run out of the energy and the motivation and the drive, even the resources, which is financial resources, to be able to get yourself back into the actions and activities that make for a meaningful and a purposeful life. So that's why it's relative, because for somebody, when there are people who feel if they're below $1 million shillings, they feel like failures. There are those who below 10K, they feel like failures. But if you just feel you get to a place where you've run out of resources and energy and motivation to get back to meaningful and purposeful activity, I think for many of us, that's where I would say I'm at a point of, I'm at a low, I'm at a failure.
And so then, with that in mind, because now people are basically, in that case, you can use the phrase like you're in the trenches. I know that means other things, in the trenches. But when you're in the trenches with the pit, let's use the pit, I guess. It's a better example, even like Joseph. So if you're in the pit, and there's definitely a way that there comes a point when it's a plateau, like you're saying. So you don't want to get out. You can't pick yourself up. So what does one need to get to that level where okay, let's do this again?
I think there are some anticipatory skills that somebody must develop, especially when you're growing up. One of the anticipatory skills you must have is you must have within you that success is hard. Life is hard. Life is not linear. Just how you thought it's not how it's going to work out. How you planned it's not going to play out like that. It's not going to be from plan to play as I've seen it. It's not linear. Secondly, you have to know that success is draining. It's a draining engagement. To build anything, to do anything of significance, it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll on your emotion, on your family, on your time, on your energy, on your talent. It's a draining engagement. If you don't develop those anticipatory skills, and then also you have to anticipate that it's a very lonely venture. The higher you want to climb, the lonelier it gets. And so with those anticipatory skills, what will happen is that when people get to that place, it creates, whenever you don't reach the target that you wanted to reach, maybe I isolated myself from Willie so that I can focus on writing this book, and now that I've written this book, nobody's receiving it. What actually happens is that it's the sense of belonging that we lost in the pursuit of success that leaves us scarred and leaves us feeling like failures. It's the shame that comes with it. So, and what is shame? Shame is the collective mind of people that lives in all of us. There's a collective mind, the opinion of your parents, the opinion of your friends, and all these things that you had to do to get here, and then things have not worked out like you said. You went to the city to make it big. And people here, uko kwa mitaro, umeparara kwa estate. So those are the things that make us feel, so do I go back? Do I call home? Do I get that? So when you get yourself to that place, the first thing is you have to be aware. You have to stop in order to become aware. You have to stop and say, hey, my incomes and my inflows are not coming at the speed of my outflows and my outcomes and my demands. So it's like I'm putting out more and I'm getting in less. So I have to stop so that I can see, are there blind spots I did not attend to? Because if I don't have these anticipatory abilities, I did not anticipate to feel drained. I did not anticipate to feel lonely. I did not anticipate the time investment and the energy it will cost me. I thought it will be, since it's a good idea, it will play out that way. Because if you don't put up those anticipatory skills, what will happen on this side, when you get to that stage of shame, you will hide, you will cow, you will feel like, when people know this, I will lose my friends, I will lose my status. You will try to protect the things that did not contribute to build whatever you've built, and yet the things that contributed to build what you built was discipline, was structure, was commitment, and those are the things that require the energy. So I think you have to stop, and which is the common language, but many people struggle with just stopping and saying, hey, I need to stop and take inventory and see, are there blind spots I may have missed in my pursuit of whatever I was pursuing? Because we get sometimes blindsided by what we did not anticipate, and that is just what somebody, a friend, turns on you. The company makes a decision they did not need you, and yet you're just taken alone to do something, and the company is making a decision that, so you did not anticipate that, and so that becomes a blind step and a blind spot that you now have to manage yourself through.
There is a danger there, though, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So there is that, like you said, you have to anticipate failure. But then can't that also put a damper in your spirit in terms of so how do you balance between like, yes, I'm anticipating, okay, this could go either way, but then there's also just a pessimistic person, like
yeah.
You're
not the first one.
Yeah.
I think you have to have what you call objective optimism.
Okay.
Objective optimism is simply hope coupled with strategy. You cannot just be hopeful, that is expecting better ends, and lack a strategy to complement that. Now, hope is the state of your soul. It's the state of your mind. It's the state of the person on the inside. Now, strategy is the quality and the means of executing. Now, these two things must come together. When you find that people become pessimistic because they've gotten to a place where they are hopeful, but they've stopped working on the strategy to get the thing done. Or other people, they felt the strategy took so much energy, and now they can no longer, they tell you, unamletea idea ingine anakuambia pia hiyo nilitry, pia hiyo nilitry. So the question is, either they've run out of human capital, that is themselves. They have overspent their inner man and their mental energies, so they need a break, they need to rest, they need to change an environment, they need to leave what I would say the routine of work and just go for a break, so that their mind can feel the willingness to get back to work. That is if your strategy is watertight. If you just have hope and your strategy was not watertight, you should go back and rework your strategy when your energies are still high. And that's why I always think that the younger you are, the more you should do. The younger you are, the more you should do, because you have got less scars, you have got less demands and responsibilities on you. So don't waste your youth, don't waste your freedoms putting yourself in places where you're not getting the quality for the time and the energy that you have. Spend your energies as much as possible when you're still living with your parents, because it gets harder up here. It gets colder up here, it gets more lonelier up here, and you get less energetic up here. If this information, maybe somebody is listening to it and probably they're elderly, the much they can do is to transfer it to somebody else. But when somebody has the energy and the time and the freedoms and less responsibilities, you don't have kids, you're living at your mom's house, that is the time to convert that space into a creation center. So the only way to overcome pessimism, that pessimistic person is, or that person who feels like, well, because it is not bound to work, the reason why it will not work is when you run out of energy. The world has been built by men of energy. It's energy that is the commodity of kings. The more energy you have, it is force that begets motion. When you see something moving, somebody applied some force. So you need to build the force to put the motion in place.
So now you've gotten over your pessimistic nature. Now you are more focused, or like you said, amechukua ka break, amekuja ko ready to go, or as Bama would say, fired up, ready to go, fired up.
I'm fired up.
So then what happens now when you have this opportunity? Because you've mentioned two things. You've mentioned that to make it, you have to have hope mixed with
strategy.
So now you have this opportunity, and though you have failed before, but now you're approaching a new opportunity after failure. How do you go about and work it so that you don't make the same mistakes you made when you failed the other time? Yeah.
First of all, you have to become a learner. You have to learn, and you have to be a person who is committed to learning. I like Einstein. Einstein always says that problems are manifestations of mindsets. That you cannot solve a problem at the same level of mind that created that problem. So that means for me to avoid recreating that problem, I need to develop a new set of thinking. And to develop that set of thinking, I need to access a new set of information. I cannot operate with the information I had and believe that it will get me across. It is always the learners who inherited the future. So you have to keep on learning. You have to be a learner. Secondly, you must get somebody who is skilled. I know people hate the word coaches and mentors and all this, but you have to get them, because what a mentor provides you is experience without pain. But if you forgo the learning, like what I'm giving right now, some of this information has come from my experiences. But now as I'm giving it, somebody's just getting it through the medium of the platform that you've created, and
it's you actually went through it.
It's me who went through it, and I'm giving you information, and I'm giving you valued wisdom, tested and tried and proven, without the pain of getting it. Now, the closer you work and get closer and attached to a mentor, the more you're going to avoid those blind spots, because it's the blind spots. Overcoming a blind spot is like a grieving period. So we all grieve differently based on how we were conditioned before we went through the season of frustration and pain that we went through. So if you're going to get back, the first thing you have to do about new opportunities is that you have to be very calculative as you take them. You have to now consider seeking counsel as you're running out of energy, and then it depends on whichever phase of life you're in. If you're married, you now need to involve your wife, because the consequence of your failure now does not affect an individual. If you are a father and you have children and you're dealing with, you're trying to dispose property and they're old children, you now need to involve them, because now the consequence of your decisions is wider. So the more width and the effect of consequence, the more counsel and considerations you should make.
And I've also just invite you guys, if you're going through any of those for yourself, you can talk to us like about using 22422. That's our SMS line. It's 22422, and also you can text us. That's 22422. But you can also go to our hashtag Power Breakfast and share some questions, comments, suggestions that you may have as well. So now here you are presented with an opportunity to move forward, an opportunity to do something fresh, and you are equipped, you're a learner, you have a mentor. Somebody once asked also though that how often are you supposed to say you have a mentor, and of course so many people get this wrong. We have so many people just, I want you to be my mentor. Willis, I want you to be my mentor. But how often are you supposed to touch base with a mentor? But first, before that, what would be how do you pick a mentor, so that now once you pick the mentor and then you have this opportunity, you're now moving in the right direction? And then again, can you disagree with your mentor?
It should be. Mentorship is about connection.
Right.
It's somebody that you should be able to connect with, and maybe when time allows, we can just build something on finding and choosing a mentor. But there should be connection. And not only there should be connection, there should also be capacity. You cannot be mentored by somebody who has no capacity to carry the dream that you carry. Eventually, they will reduce you so that you fit the capacity of their skill set, the capacity of who they are. But there are people with capacity, but you just don't connect. Their jokes don't connect with you. Their style don't connect with you. Because mentorship is about relationship. And so if you struggle being transparent to this person, then chances are you're going to struggle to have this level of in-depth relationship, because you're not going to be honest. So you should be able to connect with that person, and that person should have capacity to carry whatever you have and whatever you need. And then thirdly, what I always say is content, the quality of information that he has. He may have capacity, but he does not know how to unpack that information, and that's why many people choose a celebrity to be their mentor. Just because I'm a celebrity, it doesn't mean I have the content, because some of us, we got where we are by some luck, and now we have this following, and then you find that, okay, people are following me, but I have no content, quality information to make these people be able to rise from here to there. I was picked by somebody, and the person picked me up and planted me somewhere. If you are if you've related with scripture, you'll see Elijah and Elisha. Elijah had schools of the prophets. Elisha did not have those schools, because it was not in his space. He never had that school. The decision to even pick him, he was not there. It was made somewhere else. And so you need somebody with content, somebody who can clarify for you, who can demystify for you, who can help you navigate and can unpack this body of knowledge. And as he unpacks it to you, it becomes easier for you now to make those kind of decisions. And what these mentors do, treat the journey of success as the way you do a journey. It depends on how many days you'll be away. That's how much luggage you need to carry. So if I'm going for a one day, I'm going in the morning like today, you're going back in the evening. You've not carried luggage, you just dressed up knowing that I'll be back in the evening. So you need to start taking stock early. So if it's how long and how often should I see my mentor? At the preliminary stages, because that's where you're trying to define the dream, develop the skill, choosing a team. Those are the things that mentors help you, because your dream can be sabotaged and your energies can be sabotaged by putting a critic in your team, and instead of them motivating you and increasing the energies of the team, they demotivate the people, decrease the energy of the team, and before long the people you selected become a cage that you built for yourself, that you never now lived to fulfill that dream. Because when you are hit with a setback, they turn against you and say, unajua we Willis, oh, you let us down, oh, nini nini. And they don't know that dreams, as the longer you dream and you get attached to trying to make something happen, you become fragile. You become fragile. And that fragility that trying to make a dream work happens, because it's already hard work. So this is the only vulnerable place, either with family, either with a mentor, or either with a friend. This is the only vulnerable space. Every other place out there is volatile. So you've taken up this macho sense and you are trying aggressively to fight and combat and push things. If people don't understand, they know the head of your dreamer, but they don't understand his heart, they will break your heart. And they don't know that failure, whenever things don't work as you planned, you always feel deep sense of I've lost. And you know this, they say that most people that we think that they're successful, they think they're failures. Most people, you ask them, this thing, how did it turn out? Even when you see an event has happened, probably even after this program, you always go to do a review. And the people who are watching on the other side, they see everything went, oh wow, it was a good show, the review feedback is different. But when you go back, you're told, oh, you are seated like this, because there's a whole thing here happening. They'll tell you are seated like this, your cheek was shining, your forehead was bulging, your guest was swinging. And so you when they're trying to do the review, that's when it hits you. Somebody else was doing that job, and that's their job. And so that fragility around you trying to work, and that's why many people never come to try again, because the more you try to do something that is hard, it softens your inner man as you're trying to make it happen. So you need a family of people, a mentor, friends who are committed to making sure that that fragileness does not make you quit.
All right. And also, so how do you know that this, sorry, excuse me, is a good opportunity? Because you say, and I like to base it on just like what we're talking about, because kuna ile you failed before, and uliona hii opportunity hapa itaweza ikuangusha, uone ingine hii opportunity hapa itaweza ikuangusha. So how are you now making your mind and saying, okay, how are you gauging, like, okay, this is a good opportunity, this is something I should pursue, even if you failed before?
I think it all goes down to instincts. The more
very funny that I was just actually listening to, before he came, I was actually listening to the Jake's Instinct off of the book. So yeah,
the more you're out here, and that's why I say you start early. The more you're out here, you start developing instincts for things that will work. You'll discover that sometimes big decisions are made in corridors, because these people have worked it out so much.
In
if you
WhatsApp
get
groups, I was
WhatsApp
actually
groups,
reading
you
that
hear pop.
the decision to have Wayne Rooney go to Everton, now he's going to DC United, was made in a WhatsApp
in a WhatsApp group. It's just simple because they've developed the instinct that they've said, hey, I think it's time to move. I think it's time to close this. And what instinct does is that you've developed your ability to trust to trust what you are thinking before you even see it working out. And so that ability, you don't develop it overnight. That's why you keep failing over and over and over, because you've not developed that ability. And for many of us, because you've not developed our instincts or sharpened our instincts to that point, we have got to wait until somebody comes and builds, and by the time you're starting, the place is crowded. And yet other people say, oh, so-and-so is a risk taker. No, that person has an instinct of analyzing something and know this will work. He has a knack, he has developed analytical skills of knowing that this will work before it even works. And so he will take it, start doing it, and then 5 years later, so many people will be trying to do it, and yet the person who maximized the most was the person who entered before it was defined. So I think it goes down, first of all, to instinct, and then that instinct that you have, secondly, it goes on to your, what I'll say, the quality of information that you have, and then your development, your capacity, how developed are you? If you're not developed, you can only grow something to the level of your development. If you're a 5-talent person and we give you 1, you will grow it to 5. But if you're a 1-talent person and we give you 5, it will go down to 1. Things don't become what they are, they become who you are. So if you find somebody, I was teaching some leaders over the weekend, and I told them, when you raise the standards, people normally rise and they raise their standards. But when you lower the standards, the high standard and high capacity people always leave. It is like in human nature. You can raise the low to high, but you can never make the demand, those who are high, to come low. So that's how it happens with opportunity.
Wait, say that again. Repeat.
You can raise the standards of people high.
You can raise the standards of
people high. And the people of low standards and low capacity will rise to the occasion.
All right, okay.
But if you lower the standard so that you can have, because normally people hate high standard environments, high capacity environments. People hate them because they are competitive, they are aggressive, they are demanding, they are sensitive places. So people fear those spaces. So if you lower the standard and say, okay, because so many people are at the low, let me lower the standard so that more capacity people can fit in. All these high capacity people and high standard people can never come down. They will have to leave. And so your capacity is what determines the kind of people who will fit into your vision. So even with opportunities, if you have a 1 billion opportunity and you don't have a capacity for 1 billion, you won't work it. You will only do it up to 100K and then quit there, because your capacity could only, nikangata. If unangata ya thao and you want to go to Mombasa, you will need to refuel, whether you like it or not. But if you are a Jingfang motorbike, that 1,000 will push you further. But you will take longer. It will be more tedious. It will be more tedious, because that's how it works. Whatever you have in determines your capacity. So you have to work on saying, do I have the capacity? Okay, this idea has the capacity to rake in millions. But am I a millionaire already? I can preach to you that you're a millionaire, but are you a millionaire? Do you know what millionaires do? Do you have the discipline of running a millionaire enterprise? Do you have the instinct of running a millionaire enterprise? How do you select people? If still the people who matter to you is still your friend, you're this, then how do you select? How do you lead in that setting? Have you grown yourself outside this space? Which forum have you attended of executives? Have you ever paid to go for any training? Oh, no, I'll just run it. You won't run it. Chances are when it gets to your capacity, that's where it will stagnate. And you now get frustrated because you're saying, you can never bring the mob. But the problem is internal.
It's internal.
Yeah.
So even as we talk about that again, we ask people to send some of the comments. Mark K. Oh, sorry, Guy, pole. Mary K. Nilioneo K kwanza. Pole Mary, wakabete. Anasema, failure is not an event, but an opinion. Then someone anasema hii kipindi iko sawa, anasema ana watch kutoka Kitengela. But before I go to the next one, there is Mary says failure is an opinion. It's not an event. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it happens in two phases. One, failure is ideological. That is the internal conversation you have with yourself, where you are the one who talks and tells yourself, I think I have failed. Because the people on the outside are like on personal dream and development. Like right now, nobody knows my failures until I tell them, I think this is a failure and this is a failure. But people can only see my success. So on one side, it's an ideological phase where you have the idea that I think I would have done better, I think I would have done this, I think I would have done this better. On the other phase, failure is social, whereby if we are working as a group on a project, in an exam, and we are supposed to research, and as we were supposed to research, you didn't do your part, he didn't do his part, they didn't do their part, I did my part, and then we came together and we tried to muffle the thing together and we sent it, and we are given feedback that we got 36 out of 100. That is not an idea. That is an actual response to your discipline, either as a group or as a person, that on this subject and on this question, where you applied your energies did not reward to the level to merit you to go to the next level.
That's right.
So that is now more social, because now at that particular point, you don't judge yourself. So you cannot be going to around getting D- and 25s and 16s and saying, no, that's just an opinion of the teacher, I'm still good. No, that's honest feedback. You're going to
student can say, mami ni mwalimu.
Ni mwalimu. Mimi naelewa. Mimi ni mtu wa A. Mimi ni A, but this is the teacher who is saying this. That's honest feedback. They're trying to tell you where you're applying your energies is not in the right place. And so the society is trying to give you early warnings. If you keep getting 25s in standard 6, by the time you will not make it to Form 4. And if you get it to Form 4, it will not be in a good school. And if you don't make it through there, so it's all that. So at one point it's ideological, at the other point it's social. Yeah.
So maybe the last thing, you know, we look at into the camera, because there's somebody who has probably failed, probably has a grim, dim, dark outlook of life, who was probably watching, and they just want that kickstart to the next level. Maybe you'll address them, and you know how they can turn around their situation.
One of the most important thing I've learned from my own failures is never identify with the event that you're in. That means that once I start identifying with the event, that event takes grip of my soul. It defines me. You have to break the identification that I did not do well here, so I shall not be well, or I'm not well. When you break the identification with the event, I am now able to make the adjustment. It's the fear of adjustment that frustrates people, because they feel when I adjust, now not only will I know I have failed, the people will know that I have failed. But adjustments don't necessarily have got to do with the people knowing you have failed, because it's because you're looking for identity in the minds of the people. And so whoever is listening to me, wherever you are, I want to assure you that if you are going through a rough time, it means that you're pushing, it means that you're doing something that matters, because anything that matters faces opposition. And so don't become an opposition to yourself, don't fight yourself, don't isolate yourself, adjust, break out of the identification mold, mourn for a season, but end your mourning and now start putting strategy around your grief, and you'll break out.
All right, there you have it. Always interesting as well. The book is here.
The book is here also. They can get it.
Breaking the Back of Luck.
Yeah. 0722 92 50 31. I had to say that.
Yes. 0722 92 50 31. Make sure you reach out as well. I'm also going to post it up on our social media as well, just in case you need to reach him directly. It is Atueli Odendo. Always a pleasure, and I hope that we've kickstarted your week in the right direction, despite of what's going on in the country. Hata wewe kwa nyumba yako, kwa mwili yako, ni katri yako. So you get to decide what to do. Coming up next is later on. We're going to take a short break first, but coming up, Carlos Kiba is here with some beautiful music, and then later on, Citizen Extra. And you know, a lot, as like we said, a lot's been going on in terms of the headlines and what's happening, new scandals, or new potential scandals rather, in both dailies and much more that's going on. We're going to put all those for you in perspective. On behalf of the team, Joey Muzengi in Barcelona, Freddy Ndimuli, Santin Sana, successful people look like you, the great Manchester United, and the other Red Devils, Belgium. Tuonane, Sen.